Struggle Against, The Story of $5 Fine, written and narrated by Gary Llama. Published 2019 by Ovalar Debacle. Copyright 2019, Gary Llama. Dedicated to the Daly family, Greg Steffen, Bo Dillard, George at St. Edwards, 500 punks, 13 punks, and the Southside punks. Chapter 1. He's a warrior, or unless he thinks he is one for a 7-year-old. He stands bare-chested, his young skin milky smooth and pale. His eyes squinted, looking out, surveying some great vastness. Below each eye, a bagginess from tiredness, though not understand why, factoring in his age, but has the appearance of patchy war paint. His hand clutches the pump of his shotgun, a 1960s Daisy BB gun passed down from his dad. The gun, while menacing, has lost much of the velocity potential, yet still seems dangerous and deadly, though mainly because of the rusty mechanism hinges that clunk each time it's cocked. He stands at the edge of his frontier, his yard. In the vastness he is surveying his cul-de-sac, looking for the enemy, i.e. any other kid from a better family than his. Better and less violent, better and less arguing, better in all ways. Enemy. Beside him, his horse, a Huffy BMX. Beside that, his other steed, a silver-dipped Vision skateboard. The top graphic, a fish smoking a cigarette. He grabs the deck and hits down the hill from the cul-de-sac, and at the bottom tears off into the rough edge of asphalt. The board, balanced on the white gull-winged trucks, grinds to a halt, sending him off flying. This is the thing. This is what he does. Board to asphalt edge, grind, fly off. This is skateboarding. The crowd is a sea of faces. Faces of people seated on carpet stairs of a middle school media room. An auditorium, though too carpeted and too unlike a lunchroom to be daunting. They are awaiting something, a look of anticipation. The stage before them is illuminated by spotlights. On the left corner, a small guitarist with an even smaller amplifier. He begins. The audience recognizes the tune as Don't Cry by Guns N' Roses. The version, however, more out of tune, more slow, and no vocals. It's a painful exercise as the guitarist makes his way through the song, their collective hope that he pulls it off, carrying him through each part. He finishes, and not too badly, but not amazingly either. The crowd seems satisfied and gives a warm reception of applause. Good for a 7th grader. He exits stage left and begins nervously packing up his equipment. Such an odd thing to do, to be in one moment the center of an almost mystic ritual, that of the troubadour, playing to the souls of a crowd, and in the next moment wrapping up the rubberized cables of the guitar amplifier, putting them away like little everyday tools. Hey, that was really good, a figure says. The guitarist looks up and sees a similar-sized 7th grader standing there, hands in pockets, wearing a rock shirt. Thanks, the guitarist says coldly. He can't take compliments. In all honesty, he's surprised the boys who regularly bully him, whom he'd noticed in the crowd, hadn't rushed the stage and attacked him. And here, yet again, he was vulnerable. He had been thinking since weeks before the show about all the areas of the performance in which he would be vulnerable. A backstage attack seemed likely, being kicked and punched amidst the backdrop of a literal school music performance backdrop curtain, head hitting the worn wooden floor. We should jam together sometime, the stranger said. Yeah, okay, the guitarist replied slowly, realizing that this person was actually being friendly and not part of an advanced ploy to engage in violence. And with that, the stranger walked away. How will I find him? The guitarist thought to himself. He didn't give me a number. Obviously, it was relatively easy for them to find each other. This was the 7th grade in a suburb of Virginia on the south side of Richmond. They began a friendship which courted and tested each other. Many questions about favorite bands were asked, and of TV shows and movies. They eventually began sitting together at lunch, the first day of which would be a bonding experience beyond anything the little guitarist had ever known. See, for every day of lunch, there would come a time when an 8th grader would walk by, and on his way to the table, pass by the guitarist, and in passing he would smack the guitarist on the back of the head. The lunchroom had begun to anticipate this, and the pass and the smack would bring about a dull in volume, then a small laugh, then back to normal. It had become a normal part of the routine of lunch, like standing in line or putting up your tray following your meal. The guitarist, feeling very vulnerable, had begun to try and counteract this by writing very violent lyrics, like ridiculously violent lyrics, hoping the aura, or fucking something, anything, would be channeled to repel this bully. But outside of that, there was no end in sight for this. It had been occurring for months, and there were still many months left of school. A physical altercation would surely lead to the guitarist's death. He had assured himself of this fact. But on the first day that the guitarist and his new friend sat together at lunch, something happened. When the bully passed by to take his daily smack, the bully's hand was met with the stocky forearm of his new friend. The bully stopped walking, stunned. They stared each other down, but before the guitarist could warn his new friend of how tough
Sample complete. Ready to continue?